There's no doubt about it. We are living through difficult times, and 2020 has been the most difficult yet. Against a backdrop of global pandemic and impending environmental collapse, it's hard to find any meaning to our lives. Instead, we begin to divide ourselves into factions: the environmentalists, the climate change denialists, the pro-mask and anti-mask lobby, Brexiteer, Remainer, left, right, liberal, conservative. We set ourselves against each other, raise our political or ideological banners, and appoint our new gods. On a superficial level, life is meaningless, harsh and short, yet we carry on regardless, attempting to make sense of the world and our place within it. In other words, we create personal meaning out of inherent meaninglessness. But finding meaning in our lives can be hard, especially when the world seems hostile, chaotic and frightening. Nevertheless, meaning is the one thing we need in order to adapt to this rapidly changing world. Meaning is more important than happiness. Happiness is transitory and difficult to quantify. Our feeling of joy can quickly fade and be filled with a sudden sadness. What we have here are two different theories of well-being: hedonic happiness, which is the pursuit of immediate pleasure, and eudaimonia, the pursuit of betterment, or more precisely, human flourishing. We can be happy, in the hedonic sense, by engaging in fleeting, temporary activities, or we can take a longer-term position, where we construct our well-being over time. We can use both, of course, but we'll need to bear in mind that hedonism can undermine our long-term well-being. The pursuit of meaning is related to eudaimotic well-being. Meaning in life can also help us endure, assist us in continuing when things go wrong or when we encounter seemingly insurmountable obstacles. If life has meaning, we can overcome pretty much anything. Take, for example, the life of Viktor Frankl. In his 1959 best-selling book Man's Search for Meaning, he details both his experiences in Auschwitz concentration camp and his ideas around therapy based on the need to identify meaning in our lives. Even if our lives are filled with adversity, they needn't be void of meaning.
But everybody, in the midst of suffering, is given a chance to bear testimony of the human potential at its best, which is to turn a personal tragedy into a human triumph.
Indeed, Frankl himself managed to find meaning in the most horrendous and inhumane environment. Our main motivation for living is the search for meaning in our individual lives. Our search drives us forward and helps us to overcome difficult circumstances. We therefore need to believe in some kind of free will. Our lives may be determined by biology, but we all have a degree of autonomy over what we do with them and how we think about them. Modern society strips us of this freedom in subtle ways. Politicians tell us how to think. The media tells us what to believe. Reality takes a back seat as we are taken in by our newly appointed gods, skilled in the art of manipulation. And one major outcome of this coercion is the fragmentation of society. We pick our side, unfurl our flag, and attack our neighbours. We have abandoned freedom, while ironically accepting the illusion that we are free. To Frankl, the one freedom that can never be taken away from us is the way we respond to unavoidable suffering. If my life suddenly takes a turn for the worst, I can choose how to react to it. If someone attacks me on Twitter, I have the freedom to choose my response. I can attack back, or respond in a way that acknowledges the attack but avoids escalation. I can choose how I react to any situation. I could give up or get angry at the person I saw as responsible. Or I could choose to carry on, dust myself down, and get on with my life. The responses will have different outcomes, but the freedom to choose remains with me. But what practical things can we do to find meaning? According to Frankl, we can all discover meaning in fairly simple ways. For example, by creating something, doing a good deed, taking on new experiences, or encountering someone new. We're not striving to be happy in our pursuit of meaning. Yet meaning may well lead to greater levels of happiness, because meaning creates a sense of control and increases our general well-being. Meaning helps us to flourish. Many things strip us of these feelings of control, so we need to try and get that back. But control is as much a state of mind as it is a physical reality. For example, we can choose how we interpret events in our life. We can fail at something and label ourselves a failure. We can fail but blame others for our failure. Or we can rethink failure and use it as a tool to move forward. It's not always an easy choice, but the choice remains ours to make. We can also retain a sense of control through planning, goal setting and habit formation. We can identify the things that will give our life meaning, perhaps helping others or spending more time with family. This is what Aristotle described as the good life. Our ultimate goal is to flourish and live well. This good life doesn't come about by owning the latest smartphone or driving an expensive car. Such achievements are transitory. There will always be a phone with a better camera or a car with a more powerful engine. We will never reach our goal if we desire something that will quickly lose its luster. This search for meaning creates us, nourishes us, and helps us adapt to changing situations. There can also be a dark side to this search. If I seek meaning through a desire to be seen as better than others, I quickly fall into the mire of prejudice, xenophobia, and racism. The opposite is true if I seek meaning through my desire to help others, regardless of whom the recipients of my help happen to be. There's perhaps a more simple message here. Studies find that helping others can have huge benefits for well-being. The same is certainly not the case for hatred, bigotry, and prejudice. So take control of the person you are, or the better person you desire to become. Create something, help someone, make new connections, become an even better version of yourself.